Welcome. My name is Neil Thrussell, and I'm really excited to have this plethora, that's a big word, of wonderful co-speakers, panelists, trainers, extraordinary human beings with us. How are you doing, Jamie?
I'm doing absolutely outstanding. And just look at us. We're all squared out. We're all there. We're all excited to be here. Today's going to be really special because it's all about couples.
So I'm just going to jump right in, and we're going to go to that's my left. My left, who are you?
I am Tina Thrussell, also known as Woman Who Dances with Light. I am the co-founder of Best You Can Be with this fine man here. And I am a messenger of the Shin Dao, the way of the heart.
That sounds fun.
It is.
And on my screen off to the right, there's this beautiful woman in blue. Her name is Sharon. Sharon, tell us a little about yourself.
Thank you, Neil. I'm Sharon Carne, and about 12 years ago, my path took a course correction and became founder and then co-founder with Ed of Sound Wellness and the Sound Wellness Institute, and more recently, our corporate wellness program, the Emergent Workforce.
And now what did you leave for your handsome husband to say?
Well, I left, I'm Edward Carne, and of course, yes, we are connected. I left my last real job about 12 years ago and started doing some consulting work for industry. A couple of years into that, I had a coach out in Vancouver that I was working with, and we were looking at what Sharon was doing and what I was doing and marketing for what I was doing. And one day he kind of looked at me and says, you know, what Sharon's doing is way more important than what you're doing. And that was kind of a wake-up call. And it says, yeah, so. And we carried on working on my company. And about 3 months later, it sunk in that what Sharon was doing was way more important than what I was doing. So we closed down the consulting, and I went to work with Sharon to build the Institute and now the Emergent Workforce.
Cool. And then way in my corner over here, wherever is Steffany.
Oh, hello.
Drug into this. Who and what are you, Steffany?
I am Steffany, and I am Jamie's wife. We're on two separate screens right now, but I am in the natural health industry, and I work partnership with Jamie right now with his business and helping him grow and conquer his goals and dreams.
Cool. And guy below me, that would be Jamie. Who the heck are you?
Oh, it is myself. And yeah, what's been really amazing lately, Sharon and Ed, what you were speaking about recognizing where you can step up for each other. Ed, you coming in and helping Sharon out. You know, Steffany and I have had that great privilege to be able to do that a couple times. When several years back, Steffany was really doing some great work. She was doing a lot of traveling, working with clients, you know, all around Alberta, British Columbia. And at that time, I got to be that support. Right now, she's being that support for me. She has stepped up in ways that, my God, have been so invaluable. It's completely transformed the business for me. And without her being a part of that, there's no way. It'd be absolutely impossible for me to be where I'm at. And in case anyone's wondering why we're in two different rooms, because immediately after this, I've got to jump onto a training call. So it's like, I got to be here. It's going to be off, log on, and go. So that's why we're in two separate rooms. But yeah, my name's Jamie Adamchuck, of course, with UE Coaching, transforming business operators into real true business owners by relieving that unnecessary stress and helping those people scale their businesses quickly, fastly, and efficiently.
That was really
He's a much
good.
better speaker than I am.
Can I copy that? Yeah. So I'm Neil Thrussell, 3 times best-selling international best-selling author, co-founder of the Best You Can Be, co-founder of the Shin Dao, a beautiful heart-opening philosophy. And today when Jamie and I were sorting out guests, I threw across the email to him and said, why don't we do a couples one? And Jamie, being Jamie, just said, yeah, okay, this sounds fun. And we were already into the conversation while we were in the green room backstage. And I was saying that in COVID, so many couples, this is this quarantine with all of these protests going, this is a hard time for many, many couples. And then Ed offered this piece of wisdom. So I'm just going to flip it over to Ed here. What did you say, Ed?
Thanks, Neil. I was just mentioning that I think Sharon and I and couples like us, like everyone here in the panel today, we've had the luxury of working together for quite some time. And so we've already crossed all those barriers and sorted out all the issues about working together. The real challenge, I think, is for people who used to work down in the towers downtown that now are pretty much closed up, starting to maybe come back, that have been used to going in, leaving the house at 7:30, back at 5:30, and everyone is in their separate place. Well, now they're in the same little bubble, right? And in very close proximity with each other where they haven't really had that before. And they now have to figure out, how am I going to get along with this person all day when all I had to do was get along with them in the evening?
Absolutely. So Steph,
sorry.
I
wanted to add one more thing to that, Neil. Is one of the most important lessons we learned, and it took us a while to learn this, is job description. When you work together on the same company, on the same plan, job description. And we didn't really sit down to clearly define this when we started, so it turned into a few headbutting moments. Who what? So knowing who does what is really important. Sometimes we sit down and have Monday morning meetings to organize the week and say, okay, who's doing what this week? What are we up to? That has really helped.
That's brilliant.
Well, and the real problem with not having clearly defined roles is that some tasks just didn't get done.
Yeah.
And other tasks got done twice. In different ways.
Jamie and I have talked about it many times on the show. Clarity is power.
Oh, yeah.
So it took us a while, but I think we got it mostly figured out.
So, Steffany, how have you stayed so happily married with this bundle of energy? Because Steffany and I have a lot of parallels, that we're both married to incredible bundles, Energizer bunnies. So
Yes.
What's your secret?
Get lots of rest. Trying to keep up with Jamie is a lot of energy. So I have to make sure that I find some time for me to rejuvenate. Definitely going for walks and getting sleep, because sleep is the only way that keeps my mind to keep up with him. So, but right now I'm ahead of him, so he so he has to catch up to me right now. I got all his projects done right now.
Yeah. And I wanted to chime in on that, because I was going to say that right now. I mean, she took on some really significant projects. Like myself, I can't design. I have zero eye for design, for colors, for anything like that. It's not an excuse. It's not a limiting belief. It's straight up, that is not my strength. And I'm not going to invest that time. Whereas Steph comes in and she just rocks my world on the things that she does. She took on some pretty significant projects, some of which we saw yesterday in the webinar, some that aren't even out there yet. And she just killed it. She absolutely killed it. She did so much on that. And that speaks, Sharon and Ed, that speaks to the clarity of what each person had to do. She knew what she had to do. She took it on. And it was just such a great process, because it wasn't, well, what about this? What about this? No, she just took it, owned it, used her innate ability to be able to create, to get that really good theme and everything going out there, rocked my world on it, did like 1,000 times better than I could ever do. And persevered because she knew exactly what she had to do. And yeah, now she is ahead of me. She's waiting on me to get a bunch of that information out there. So she's cracking the whip on me a little bit right now, which is kind of cool.
Well, like Sharon and Ed said, excuse me, it's taken a long time to define our roles, though. So it wasn't always like that. So now that we've defined it, it's so much easier.
And we've been really fortunate in the coupling and the skills and gifts that each one of us brings, because I'm an engineer. And Sharon,
we won't hold that against you.
Sharon is very far from an engineer. and so I have this engineer, logical thinking, process-oriented, structured way of doing things, which is essential for things like all of the processes that we do in order to get material out there, to get material on, design how the web interfaces are going to work, all of that stuff, right, that needs that kind of thinking. Whereas Sharon is absolutely brilliant at the content and creation of content and writing and getting all of that together. So we're really fortunate that we have very complementary gifts where each one of us brings an enormous piece to the puzzle that by itself, and that's why I jumped into it in the first place, is Sharon had all this brilliant material, but there was no way for her to get it beyond that. And so I kind of jumped into the fray and took over a large part of that role. And I know that if I hadn't done that, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are now, because Sharon just didn't have those gifts. I don't have the gifts that she has. I don't need them. You know, me about the graphics. I'm not a graphics guy either. I have things I don't know.
Yep.
And I don't want to.
Absolutely.
There's power in that as well, in recognizing truly what your strengths are. You know, with working with Tony Robbins, being on that, I mean, we always hear about the term limiting belief. It's like, oh, Jamie, you're just telling yourself a limiting belief about your artistry and creativity. No, straight up, I suck at that stuff. And quite frankly, I don't want to learn. It will never be my strength. What it will do for me, and Ed, I think you might share this as well, is if we're forced into doing something like that, doing something that we really have zero passion for, it's going to create a lot of frustration. It's going to create a lot of anger against it there. And we're going to not move nearly as fast forward. Where that complementary relationship works so well is seeing that absolute outstanding strength in Steffany, where she can just take that stuff and quite literally, when I say 1,000 times better, I'm not exaggerating. Like, she blows me away with that creativity, the artistry that she puts into. I mean, Neil, you've seen some of the books, the ebooks that she's created and all that. I'm telling you, there's no way in 1,000 years I could ever do that. I would never come up with something like that.
You know, it's so true. And I think at least from the time when we were raised, I can't speak to the school system now because I'm not in it now, but we were really raised to, oh, there's your weakness. Okay, let's really focus a lot of time and energy on getting that weakness into a strength. And that's like pointless, right? Everybody in this world is very unique. We all have different gifts. We all have different talents to bring to the world. Why are we not focusing on our strengths? Exactly what you said, Jamie. If we all focused on what we're really good at, we'd be happier. We'd have less stress, and we'd achieve so much more. And finding somebody that complements what we don't do well makes so much sense. And yet it completely is contrary to how we were raised. So we're battling a lot of things, especially those of us who are of a certain age, that we have all of that conditioning to overcome, as well as learn to step in, own our talents, gifts, strengths, and go with them, and not feel like we're failures or losers because we have the weaknesses, which is kind of what we were taught.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And part of it, the growth is recognizing, I know for me, is recognizing that some things, because when I get an idea, I want to do everything, be everything, and create it because it's my idea. It is the evolution of learning to let go of it and honoring and recognizing that collectively it's better.
collaboration is the new word, right, for life as it moves forward. And although I was talking a lot about the past and what we have had to overcome, where we need to get to look at the going forward is looking at stepping into a world of collaboration, of working together, of finding those with complementary strengths, and co-creating whatever it is we want to bring into the world.
So let's jump in a little deeper. So we're all working together with your partner. We've been locked in houses for long periods of time. So if there's people out there listening, or it's on a podcast, so listening or viewing on Facebook or YouTube, what's one secret that you could share with them that you do, maybe not every day, but regularly, to keep the sanity in your relationship going? What's a little trick or hint or something helpful that you personally do to keep your marriage vibrant and alive?
Well, I'll jump in. For me, I need to spend a minimum of a half an hour in nature every day. If I don't get outdoors, and when it's possible, take my shoes off, put my bare feet on the earth, listen to the birds, see the green, or if it's winter time, enjoy the crunch of the snow. That keeps me grounded and in a place to be maybe a little gentler and more receptive to things that go on in our relationship. So that's my number one big thing.
I think my big thing is an invisible black line. There's an invisible black line between what we do on the business side and what we do on the relationship side. And the two are never allowed to cross. And so we can have knock them down, drag them out on what we're doing on the business strategies, on whatever, where we're in total disagreement and battle it out until we come to a consensus on the direction we're going. But none of that stuff is allowed to cross over into the relationship side. And as long as you have that invisible black line separating, okay, this is business, business is business, this is relationship, that's personal, and keep those as totally separate with that big black line between them, then that has been a huge reason why we're actually still married. 40 years.
Yeah.
Really.
For myself, it's being able to step away. It's being able to get out of this environment. Because I find I'm here, the typical average day, and I'm not exaggerating, we're typically 12 hours a day. 12 hours a day going on the business. I'm not having to leave where I'm at. It's here, it's home. You're in it all the time, and it's getting out. Now, as simple as it is, even if it's just hopping in the vehicle and going to the store, it's that interruption of the pattern of the same old, because not too much of a good thing, I guess, is undesirable. Right? I've got to break this up. I've got to get that out there. And when Steph and I can just do that, when we can step away, right? Put everything aside, even if just for a moment, just to get out. And that's something we're going to do this morning. She doesn't know that. I'm dropping this on her right now. But I'm telling you, after I'm done this morning, we're just going to get out. We're just going to go somewhere just for a little bit. Maybe we go get a coffee somewhere or something like that. But to interrupt the pattern of everything that's become standard and normal, I've recognized how much I need that in my life. It's not just a want. It's a need to interrupt it, to recharge, to revitalize, and come back to the first set of time.
I agree with Jamie. We definitely need to get out. For me, because I'm in so much energy, I like to adopt Tina's perception and Mother Earth. Getting out in nature, and the element of water for me is very powerful to cleanse. Like if we can get near the ocean or a lake or something, that for me, and hug a tree sometimes. Sometimes I just need to hug a tree, but getting away and rejuvenating.
You shouldn't call the trees Jamie. And for me, one of the tools that is endeavor to never go to bed, no matter what has occurred, mad. Always just make sure that I'm never annoyed or never mad. And if I'm still have energy to it, talk it through. Doesn't matter how tired I may be, but it's because it's communication. Like most of us have in any relationship, I won't say most of it, but in any relationship, communication is key. It doesn't matter whether it's a romantic relationship, your marital relationship, business relationship. Communication is key and paramount.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you need to know where each other are at and what's really going on, and harboring stuff that's going to bubble up at some point. Whatever we repress or suppress is going to bubble up at some point. So better not to suppress and oppress, but to deal with in a calm manner is paramount.
So we're all married. What is some of the things that you look for, like help? What does your partner do for you that helps energize you and keeps you focused, keeps you going in these crazy times? Like, and so many other things. Like, I'm just not defining crazy times, but for working together for 12 hours a day, and for Jamie and Steffany, 18 hours a day lately. I would leave late at night and see Jamie still working and active on Facebook, and then I would see posts at 3 a.m. from Jamie because he had another brainwave. So what are you doing to help each other stay focused or stay invigorated?
Does you're in the headlights mean anything?
One of the things that sticks out, one of the things that really pops out is learning to be even more conscious of holding the space.
Yeah.
This is something that Steph and I, we constantly work on. We're far from perfect on this, right? We're both very passionate people. We'll get communicating. I'll get talking. She'll get talking. I'll get talking over her. She'll get talking over me. And it's just recognizing that sometimes you just got to hold that space just for a moment to allow the conversation, to allow each person to get their voice out, because each and every person, there's no one person more important than the other. We are equal partners in this. We are absolutely equal. And when each of us has that opportunity to be able to express that voice, to get that voice out and to allow it to be heard, really the root of communication, when that happens, everything changes. And I've seen those patterns where, again, without the interruption, without the break in the standard pattern of getting out, doing something, if it's all in, it's all in, I can forget that, right? I'll totally admit it. I can forget that. I'll get into the space. Something will happen. Yeah, frustration comes up. I'm a pretty darn positive guy. But trust me, at times I still get pissed off. I still get frustrated that things don't happen. And what I really have to recognize is, number one, hold the space in the conversation. Just take a moment to allow that moment to recharge, rejuvenate, right? Take that deep breath in and then move it forward. The holding of the space, recognizing that the space needs to be held, has probably been one of the biggest things for me.
I relate to that one, Jamie. I'm not a good listener within my own relationship. Interestingly enough, everyone thinks, wow, Tina's a great listener. Yeah, but everybody tells me their problems. Everybody comes to me for a hug, and yet within a relationship, I guess because I spent so much time listening to everybody else, I wanted to be heard. Lots of that going on. I've really learned over the last few years, and the last year particularly, to just stop, zip those lips and listen. Just listen. Let him say what he's got to say. And it has made a difference. Our relation, there's a calmness here that wasn't necessarily there before.
What are you saying, Willis? Oh, I'm dating myself with that show.
Yeah, no kidding.
Tina, Jamie and I seem to be very similar where you and Neil are at, and zip it, right? Needing to be heard and allowing each other to listen to each other and to express and to let it out and to let it go.
I love what Jamie was saying about holding space. That's so beautiful, Jamie, and a great reminder for when I forget to listen. And one of the things I found, whenever frustration really bubbles beyond, it comes out in odd ways sometimes. Usually, when one of us is frustrated, the other one is calm, and I'm so grateful for that. It's very, very rare when both of us are crazy. So we're able
Pray that
to
never happens.
Yeah. We're able to just kind of bring back to center after a bit. Sometimes we need a bit of space too. So we've got to have a place where there is space. Ed has his space and I have my space, and that's always respected. So that's important too.
Yeah, I think that is really important. And we're sitting in our office right now in the living room. I do most of my work here. Office. And Sharon, of course, has her studio where she does a lot of her writing, but she also spends a lot of time up here. But because it's a nice bright room and we've got the front windows to bring in that morning sun, and it's just a great place to get things done. But we also need that time where we're not working in the same room, where we do have that separation, where Sharon can be off in her space and I can be in mine, so that we're not literally side by side all day long. Where we do have a little bit of space between us, and so I think that's really important.
Yeah. Yep.
I 100% agree with everything that's been said. And I would like to add, for me, some form of community that doesn't involve Tina helps me. A men's group, or when I go out running, or interacting with a supportive group that is entirely me, or it's an opportunity for Neil to be focused, or I do a physical activity. I love to run, and time spent running, not from my problems or to my problems, but just time running, as in it's very meditative for me. So it's just a time for me to be alone in my thoughts.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to tag on to that, Neil, there, because I think there's some absolute gold there in that whole idea of the physical exercise to get it out. Steph and I, we did what many people did during COVID, which was not a lot of anything. Gym's closed. So, we tell ourselves that story. Well, the gym's closed, we can't do anything. When in reality, that's not true. There's no reason whatsoever why I couldn't have got off my butt and gone running around the neighborhood. And what I've recognized is, the gym reopened this week. Steph's already up on me in the gym there. She's kicking my butt there. But I got out. The one time I went to the gym yesterday, I lost my gym pass and I couldn't find it. But nonetheless, I still went for that run around the neighborhood. It was the expulsion of that energy, getting that energy out, because even though I'm short, man, I'm like dynamite inside. I'm just packed with so much freaking energy. And having that outlet, having that ability to get it out, to release it in a way that's not just creative. It's not just sitting at the computer, staring at the screens, working, having a very different way to do that. It transforms for me. So that physical energy part, and Steph, I think you'd agree with this, having that outlet and having that ability to use your muscles to expel that energy in a positive way, it's a bit of a lifesaver.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our bodies are not designed to sit at a computer all day, right? This is one of the huge flaws in our current society, is that the body physically demands movement. If you don't use it, you lose it. That is a phrase that is a reality. And so we need to stay physically active. It's critical. That was weird. What was that?
Somebody's motorcycle going by?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm in my office upstairs, and yeah, it's a big traffic.
Oh, okay.
Area. Sorry.
Unusual sounding. This kind of sounded like moaning to me.
So
that's how I feel when I don't move. Oh.
That's true.
With Stephanie's stomach, because it's breakfast time there.
That's it.
It's why dance is so important to me. The gift of Zoom was that I was able to continue to teach my NIA classes and still dance a couple of times a week in community. That is critical to mental health, physical health, emotional health.
awkward pause. and it's fun when it's unscripted and it's what's the word when it's flowing? I don't know. It's fluid. It's unscripted and fluid because people and very polite guests and co-panels here that they don't want to interrupt her, because everyone, when it's their own show, well, of course they take charge in that, but when they don't deem it as their show, but it is your show too, everyone here. It's a co-creation here.
Yeah. I'd be curious. I've got a question here that I'd love to throw in here to everyone. During this time, especially when, we've been working a lot closer together, we've had more time together and all that. What's something that you really learned or recognized and it's helped you to grow as a couple, grow personally? I'd love to hear from everyone. What's that one thing or two things that you've learned that you've now expanded on and has now made a difference in your relationship?
She lets me run the dishwasher when I think it's full.
That's a big one.
And actually, it really is, it sounds like a funny little thing, but I'm a huge environmentalist, right? For me, one of my core values is taking care of the earth. And to run a dishwasher when it's half full is such a waste of resources. And it just irks at one of my core values. But Neil's core value is to keep everything clean and tidy and just to have things done so it's not hanging. It's not an undone energy for him. And so kind of coming to some understanding that this is just a difference in our core values. So there's got to be some way to come to some agreement with this so that it's not forever a burr under our skin. And really, it's funny how that they say, that the cap off the toothpaste every day can be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Because when you don't understand what's irking you, then it can become a problem.
Speaking of things that irk you, one of the things that if we're working in separate spaces, we kind of end up in the kitchen at 5 o'clock and go, okay, now what? What do you want? What do I want? So meal planning, the dinner dance, we call it, is something that is an ongoing adventure here in our house, and trying to have any kind of planning idea or what to do to make it a little easier to flow into mealtime without grabbing for things that might not be as good for us because they're fast and we're hungry. So yeah, that's one thing that's an ongoing at times. Well, some days we're better than others.
And especially with COVID, everybody is stocked up in their pantry and their freezer and whatever. And like a lot of people, our freezer is pretty full. But everything takes a while to thaw out before you can do anything with it. And so if we kind of hang around to the 5 o'clock and do the dinner dance, 3/4 of our meal options are very solidly frozen and no longer an option. So a little bit of planning goes a long way. So we now have moved the dinner dance discussion for the most part to lunchtime.
Good plan. Good plan.
Well, normally for us, we have to plan. We have to RPM our time and communicate. And otherwise, because Jamie can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week kind of stuff. So we have to accommodate time for us in our day, even if it's just chilling without computers, without phones, and just being without having to think about business. Because when you're immersed in business all the time, your life becomes business, your relationship becomes business. So we're making a point now to go out and talk about anything but business and just go be, right?
And that has been a big one for us, is that ability to step away. And for me, I literally have to be dragged away from the computer, because even if there's like 1 or 2 minutes where there's like a pause, what's Jamie doing? He's going right back to the computer. He's checking Facebook. He's checking email. He's doing, because it's like a magnet, because I got to be on top of it, because I got to make sure I got to do this. I got to do that. And that's why literally I have to get out. I have to step away. And we together, we have to be very mindful about scheduling that time. You know, the frozen dinner dance. Oh my God, we get that.
We get that.
So get that.
Yes, we do.
Exact same thing, right? If you've not done something, I mean, yeah, okay, you can grab a couple chicken breasts, you can throw it in the sink with some water, it unthaws, good to go, right? Mm-hmm. If you catch it by like 2:30, 3 o'clock, anything after that, like you said,
we're ordering our snacky foods.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's recognizing each other's strengths as well. I think that's the one big thing that's really come out for me is seeing where each of us has those complementary strengths, complementary skills, and being able to rely on each other even more. I mean, we've been in a relationship for a long time. You'd think that we should know, but there's always new things. There's always new little, little pieces coming out all the time. And that's been a real blessing. We're getting to know each other even more, even though most of the time here I am in my office, there Steph is, she's upstairs in her office. But even so, when we come together to really look at what each of us has created and all that, it's pretty darn amazing. It gives us that appreciation for each other even more.
Thanks. Yeah, and for me, what I think, and one of the blessings that, whether it was blind luck or a conscious choice, I don't remember, but we've taken to ensuring that Tina and I schedule our own time. Tina schedules dance time, I schedule run time, and through history we've always scheduled date nights, time to go and do things. And not always, but most of the time for us, they get put on the schedule first, and then the other schedule gets built around it. And sometimes it would be involved dinner theater and things like that. But with the closure of many of the theaters, we've had to be far more creative. And sometimes it's just our time is a walk.
Yeah, and that's marvelous because that's incorporating. Excuse me, it's incorporating that get outdoors. It's moving our bodies. It's being together. I actually enjoy the get out for a walk thing together. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's go. What if someone's listening and struggling, and we're not on relationship advice here, but if they're struggling because of being cooped up with their partner and the relationship is just, it's not bad, but what could we do? What advice would you give someone to improve their relationship in these crazy times? Just something simple, something easy to implement. Tina's going to say, just get off the couch and go for a walk.
I would say just even like an intimate dinner for two, just even at home, right? Just get a little bottle of wine and make a meal together and just shut off everything and just focus on each other.
You mean leave these off?
Yes. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've been trying to do much more faithfully is, Jamie, I resonate exactly with your 12-hour days. I hear you, right? And until the last year or so, we were very much, from the time we got up in the morning, we were on the computer, we'd be on it over breakfast, lunch, dinner, and well into the evenings, we'd be doing stuff, creating, making whatever, right? Building materials, building websites, putting together presentations, whatever. And so one of the things that we've been working very hard on is taking one full day off a week where we just totally free and clear, where it has nothing to do with the business, totally free, and we can just have some time to do things that we need to do. And if that's going out for a coffee, great. If it's getting a bit of work done in the yard together, great. That's still fine. It's not doing the work all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm certainly hearing this as a common theme amongst everybody. Everybody is saying, in order for the relationship to continue to thrive, not just survive, but thrive, there is that focus on creating the relationship, on building the relationship, on connecting and communicating within that relationship outside of the parent duty. I mean, all of us, because we're in business together, have been focusing on that. But for the couples out there who are stuck at home, who aren't running their own business, they still have to face these issues. And so it's like, so focus on each other outside of the household, outside of the kids, outside of the managing day to day, but just focus on each other and being together.
We're getting to know each other because we're all growing and changing, and COVID has changed our lives and our whole world is changing. So it's a matter of rediscovering each other again and redefining where you're moving forward together in the future.
Yes.
Well, and for those couples that have kids that are struggling, I'm going to pass on one of our favorite things that we used to do for the relationship side. And yes, I'm going to keep it clean. One of the best things that we did for the relationship side when the kids were growing up is we would schedule a late dinner. And in our master bedroom, there's lots of room in that room, and we had a table for two, and a little chandelier that would hang down, and we would create together. We'd build a dinner and have a bottle of wine, and the kids would be off in their rooms, hopefully going to sleep. But when they got old enough, we didn't care. And we would just, schedule a later dinner after all of the stuff was taken care of that needed to be taken care of. The door was closed, the kids were on their own, and we could enjoy just a real nice dinner and glass of wine on our own. And that was a marvelous way of strengthening relationship that you can do when you have kids. You can still get away from the kids in the house and have your own time. And we found that immensely important.
Some of our best Valentine's dinners were like that. We would much rather do our own little intimate thing after the kids had gone to bed and just enjoy that time together. And anniversaries often too. If we weren't able to go out, we would not bother with the babysitter, put the kids to bed if they were young enough. Things change a little bit, and it's a different dance when they get older. And that was always very special.
Absolutely. And there are times when you don't want to go out. Going out on Valentine's Day, I mean, who came up with that idea, right?
Hi, my name is Hallmark.
We've done that, and boy, the meal selections are limited. The meals are poor. The places are crowded. It's much nicer to just do something on your own.
Nothing like a romantic dinner with you and 7 million other couples.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the answer is alcohol. Lots and lots of alcohol. No, I'm just kidding. What I'm going to throw in here, the advice that I would give, it's the exact same advice that I give for business. Believe it or not, it's the exact same advice that I give for business. It's my 3 Ps: passion, purpose, and plan. So what do I mean behind that? Number one, there's a reason why everyone comes together. There's a reason why people connect, why people enter into a relationship, and there is a purpose behind that relationship. Even if you don't know it yet, I know that if a person were to go ahead and dig into it, they would find the real true purpose of what their relationship is. If no one's done that exercise, I would really strongly suggest go ahead and dig in and discover what is your purpose for your relationship. Have that deep, meaningful conversation. Come at it from an absolute place of passion, deep-seated passion of really why you're in it, and then make your plan as to what you're going to do to make sure that you're always living your relationship on purpose.
That's beautiful, Jamie. Huge kudos to you for being so profound at such a young age.
I wish I was still young. I wish.
Very good.
What would you suggest, Neil? What's your big tip on that? What would you tell people?
Don't do it. No. Stay single. And it all comes back to it. Everyone is evolved, is creating time for each other, creating space, understanding your partner's needs, wants, dreams, desires. Like, I suspect many relationships in the beginning, it was all about communication. It was all about understanding everyone's hopes, dreams, and fantasies and all of this. And as you're together longer as a couple and more, I won't say obstacles, but more opportunities for growth, children, mortgages, loans, aging parents, what insert into the relationship. If we don't work on the relationship, it ends. It gets stale and it ends. The romance or the lust only lasts for so long, and the heart of the relationship needs to be able to carry it through to the years to come. And it only comes from love and respect for yourself, for another, and recognizing and having good people in your lives, because they need to be supportive people. Because people that are, well, why are you with her? She's whatever. We don't need that. We need people that may be honest and help us realize what life may be like, but we need supportive people in our life. We need that community to keep us going, or the community to dump our kids on so that we can get 10 minutes of freedom.
Yeah, that's good.
So we're getting close to where we need to slowly meander into our wrap up. So what's the best way, Sharon and Ed, or you can do it separately or individually, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? And what is it that we've mentioned that you're in business? What is Sound Wellness? I don't know who wants to take this on. One or both of you can have the opportunity, but what is Sound Wellness, and what is it that you do and offer to the world?
Well, it's in a way, it's in the name of the company. It's about wellness and well-being, and the first word of this is sound, which can mean a lot of different things, and in particular with using sound and music. So sound wellness is a way to help people remember that our first language as a human family was music. And there's more linguistic evidence coming up that we had music before we had language. So it's our first language, it's our first healer. And we're helping people remember how deeply wired we are for sound and how we can use that to help support our health and well-being. And so we have kind of two branches to the business. One of them is for holistic practitioners, where we focus on competency training for practitioners who want to bring sound and music into their practice. And the second arm has developed more recently in bringing ways to help people at work. Stress is one of our most challenging problems these days. And so we have a lot to offer as far as helping people manage their well-being and reducing stress.
Yeah, so on the corporate side, we created the Emergent Workforce Program. The Emergent Workforce is focused on helping employees manage stress in the workplace. And stress in the workplace is way up at the top of the charts as being the number one problem. The average business in Canada is throwing away over 55% of payroll just because of stress and the issues that come out of stress. And that's huge. And so we work with organizations to provide programs in using sound, but also using tools like mindfulness, like emotional intelligence, like perceptual intelligence, like health, fitness and nutrition, in order to create a package to to bring that stress under control and to bring people back to where they can be productive, not only at work, but also positive in their relationships at home, because all of the stuff that happens at work falls back on the relationships back at home as well when people get back home. So it supports both the workplace and the relationship side. So to get a hold of us, the easiest way is to just go to soundwellness.com and click on the contact information there, and you can track us down there. We are giving away a recording of that Sharon did several years ago called Woodland Song. It's an hour of bird song and water, just being out in the woods, being out in nature. Great track to have on in the background when you're trying to get something accomplished. Keeps your body relaxed, the mind focused. And so feel free to just slip on over to soundwellness.com/woodland song, and there's a free download there for you.
Thank you.
It's brilliant. It saved my computer on many occasions.
Tina has a very adversarial, no, Tina's computer has a very adversarial approach to Tina.
I get that.
Steffany, tell us a little bit about.
Okay.
It doesn't appear to be spelt right.
Oh, no, yes. That's done purposely. I run a business called Reflections Natural Health, and Reflections basically means we're going to go internal, approaching your health in your life, your relationships, or whatever is important to you through iridology. And iridology is the ability to look into your eyes and look at colors and markings that you I know, that we can look at your genetic predispositions for strengths and weaknesses, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And we go in and we look at those areas and discuss with what approaches that we need to do to help you bring more balance into your life, into your relationships. And like Sharon said, the stress is number one. And we can't focus specifically on the stress, but we can focus on specifically what are your strengths. Let's enhance those, and let's take care of the weaknesses so that you can live more balanced and have a happier life, happier relationships, and take care of yourself at the same time.
Sweet. Thank you. So what's the best way to get a hold of you? Reflections Natural Health.
Reflections Natural Health. Yeah, just go on the website and just contact us through phone or email is probably the best way to ask questions and connect.
Sweet. Thank you. Tina, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, we have two websites, bestyoucanbe.ca and shindow.com. Bestyoucanbe.ca is a place where you can see the ways that we are delivering this message of living from the heart. So I have some new feel-good pages that have been launched there, some videos that guide people through the things that we've talked about, keeping your body moving and relaxing your mind. So there are some complimentary videos. When you go to Best You Can Be, there's a tab called Play With Us. And underneath that, there are different ways to play with us. And the Feel Good pages are one of the ways. And that's my newest addition to the website. And so I invite people to take advantage of those videos, get your body moving a little. There's magic mood shifters, there's little dance numbers, there's brain dance, which connects left and right brain and does all sorts of wonderful things. Sharon's nodding because we make that part of the Sound Wellness program as well, because it is so beneficial. Okay, I'll stop blabbering so that you have a chance to.
No, I'm cool with that. I'm once again Neil Thrussell, 3 times best. So I mix it up because I want to say 4 because I launched the same book and it went in an ebook format and it went bestseller. So I'm saying international best-selling So I say 3 times, 4 times. It's all good. But since already Tina's talked, I'm going to jump over to Jamie, and then I want you to be thinking about a last word, a parting wisdom piece. So I'm going to get Jamie to say a little bit about how his best way to connect with Jamie, and then we'll go to some words of wisdom, short pieces of words of wisdom.
Excellent. Well, of course, my name is Jamie Adamchuck. My company is UE Coaching, where we help business operators relieve that unnecessary stress, scale their businesses, and truly become business owners. My site is uecoaching.com. I've got some great links on there of an application where you can fill in to work with me. We've got a very strict application policy. I used to be in that field of coaching. I've definitely stepped away because the massive impact I've seen with working with companies, really truly having them apply these principles, it's been absolutely game changing. And hey, there's only so much of me to go around. Even though I got that dynamite inside, I've got so much. I always want to serve at the absolute highest level. So by all means, stop by, take a look at the website. Of course, I'm all over social media. It's either under @UE Coaching or it's under my name @Jamie Adamchuck. Got both those out there, and I'd love to hear from anyone out there if they are in that place of being that business operator where they're struggling, where they've got that stress, they're looking to relieve some of that stress to really grow their business, wanting to take those next steps. We can absolutely help you do that.
Thank you. So I'm going to lead as an example, and then we'll go to Tina, then we'll go to Sharon, we'll go to Ed, then we'll go to Steph, and then I'm going to let Jamie be the cleanup man. Well, not let, I'm going to ask Jamie to be the cleanup man. So I'm going to say, leave you with whatever your hopes, dreams, and desires are, you are worthy of all of them, and I hope you work towards, and my greatest desire is that you work towards fulfilling all of your life's goals, dreams, and desires. And with that, thank you.
My parting words are, remember to live from your heart. In this world that we're in, it's really easy to get caught up in your head and in the stories, but passion comes from our heart. Love comes from our heart. Respect and honoring in relationships comes from our heart. And if you don't know how to get into your heart, by all means, contact us. Take a look at the Shindao.com site. There's a philosophy there that has 12 basic tenets, ways to live, these pillars that guide you into living from your heart, because that's where the joy comes from.
Thank you. Sharon.
One of the things that flows, that Ed and I have as a value that flows to each other and overflows into our business, is unconditional love and acceptance.
Thank you.
And I would just throw in and respect one another. And don't forget that part.
Thank you.
For me, it's first of all, I have a little tattoo that says always be true to yourself. So always be true to yourself and communicate with your partner with love and accept each other's strengths and weaknesses, and not try to change each other, and just love each other through the growing opportunities that sometimes that we struggle to get through, but together you can get through it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Life is going to present you with ups and downs. It's all about how we look at that. And it's all about that meaning that we assign to each and every one of those. Much like Henry Ford said, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. Take each and every one of those ups and downs, whatever it may be in your life, and find the opportunity behind it. I'm right now having that place where I'm finding some opportunities right now. And when you do, when you take those steps to really truly find the beauty, the opportunity behind it, your life, your business will completely transform forever.
Thank you. And with that, it is time to say adios, au revoir. What other languages?
Ciao.
Goodbye.
Ta-ta for now.